Three, two, one. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is Amal, and joining me tonight, I have Mus, Carl, Andy, and George. And we are the Monday Blues, coming to you with a special episode, one of hopefully the first of many. We've got with us today, and we're going back a little while. We're going back to the 2010 NAB AFL Draft, Selection 18, coming in as a tall defender, height of 195 centimetres from the Calder Cannons. Matthew Watson.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to come and have a chat with us here. How's it been?
Look, it's almost been 10 years, just over 10 years since I finished up. So it feels like a lifetime ago since I was playing at Carlton. But no, I'm kind of still having a kick at Pascoval, still trying to get a kick. But just kind of gone back into, you could say normal civilization, you could say.
That's under Diggers. Diggers, the Sandy Kutcher, Digby Morell, is he?
Not anymore. We have Lee Tudor now. Lee Tudor's come on board this year, so he's had a lot of experience. Essendon VFL last year, then obviously playing the 80s and a couple of premierships as coach at Sydney and that. So he's definitely brought a lot of experience around to the club, which is good. Which is looking forward to going for a good year.
Nice. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, right? We go back to sort of 2009, 2008. How did you, or even before that, how did you get into footy? What inspired you to sort of pursue a career in footy, and how did you get into the AFL system?
Look, I've wanted to play footy since I was, 6, 7 years old. Obviously, uncle was at Essendon. Yeah, so that wanted me to play footy, watching him play, and then, always go to training with him when he was at Essendon. Me and my sister were in the grand final parade, I think it was 2001, in the car. So that was a good experience. I know we were 8 years old, but it's still, you can still remember it. It was a great experience. And then obviously doing Auskick at Pascoval, that's my junior club, and just going through all the development steps at Calder, playing Pascoval, EDFL representative, Calder Cannons, under Vic Metro. Calder Cannons, doing back-to-back premiers in Calder, which is a good kind of way to finish your junior career. Then we end up national champs and through the draft camp. So I was pretty much one of those, stock standard pathway to get to the AFL, not one of those ones that have come out of the blue. So I was very lucky to have that opportunity and play, at a good club and have success as a junior, which kind of helped me get to where I wanted to go.
Yeah, right. So what's it like coming through the junior pathways? Is there, obviously the competition would be ridiculously strong. How did you find that experience?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of kids vying for the same spot. I reckon pre-season there was like 80, 90 kids out of pre-season under 18s. Had to cut it down to 40. So
wow.
Yeah, so spots were tough. Obviously, they were called to see me through from I was there at 16, 15, so I was one of the ones that they were keeping an eye on. And we had a good group too. Like obviously, so we won back-to-back flags. I reckon those 2 years we had probably, I'm going to say, 12 or 13 drafted over those 2 years. We had 9 in my year, so we had a pretty strong team. And we got along well outside, the footy club, so it made it much easier for their transition to play footy together and get success. And our coach Marty Allison always said, individual awards come from team success, and we just show, winning flags and winning those championships too.
Yeah, that take us back to some of the other players that were in and around you in that Calder Cannons team. Were there any other AFL listed players in that team?
Yeah, so we had my bottom age. We had so the top ages was Jake Malsham, Daniel Talia, Jay Carlisle. My age group, we had myself, Dion Prestia, Mitch Wallace, Libba, Cam Guthrie, Luke Mitchell was at Carlton for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. Jordan Schroeder, who was a Geelong Geelong rookie. Then we had and a couple of blokes in my age went up as 17-year-olds to Gold Coast. And then when we were top ages, bottom ages come through, there was Brandon Ellis, Tommy Sheridan, there was someone else that came through. I'm trying to think. There was a few in that group. So we had a good period where we had, you could say, Brian Taylor says a quarter cannons footy factory. A lot of kids coming through. So yeah, it was definitely a good time for the footy club.
Even pegs, like obviously there's a bit of alumni there. I think it was Dustin Fletcher, Cochin,
Jackson Trengro. Yeah.
There's obviously a bit a bit of a footy factory there as well coming through pegs.
Yeah, there was. I was only for 2 years. I spent year 11 and 12 there, but blokes coming through before me. Jackson Trengro, Judd Marshall was there. Cochin, Adam Marrick. So there was a lot of, and obviously Ken was coaching when I was there. I think he's finished up now. He always says he's going to finish up every year, but no, he's a lot of talent. You go into the change room, there's at least 100 photos of AFL players that have come through the school. It's definitely another good place to be.
Yeah, pretty inspiring.
Yeah. Who did you look up to when you were at that age, coming through? Who did you kind of look up to? I know you said you had your uncle. Who else did you kind of look up to?
As a tall, I was playing back one at the time. Someone who probably at the time Geelong were pretty dominant. You could say Matty Scala, Harry Taylor. They were tall forwards going well at the time, and you're just trying to pick everything you can off what they're doing. Coaches were big on having someone you could look up to and someone you want to emulate. And they're probably the two biggest ones that I try and base my game around.
Going forward a bit, when you actually got into the system and you got onto the pitch, was there anyone when you lined up against them you were like, shit, like this is a guy I still look up to this guy? Like, did you ever have that kind of moment, or were you too caught up?
I remember my first game we played against Gold Coast. That was Gold Coast's first ever game in the AFL, and I think we beat them by over 15 goals. I'm like, how good's this? AFL's
Flag favourites.
And because we're going well too. And then the next week, so it was my second game, we played Collingwood at the G, and they were obviously just come off a flag, and I had to line up in Travis Cloke, who's in his prime, and I'm a 19-year-old kid, and he'd be like 27, 28, and he was at his peak of his powers, and I just got thrown around and kind of brought back down to earth real quick in that period, in that game. But it was a good learning curve too, to know where you're at with footy. It's good to have that experience early. I only played about 3 or 4 games in a year, but I learned a heap in that first year, definitely.
Yeah, I was going to say, you get thrown into round 2, 2011, an inaugural Suns game, Juddy's 200th. I'm pretty sure Juddy's 200th was that game as well. Yeah, and then you're in front of a sold out MCG the week after, so it's
it was a big difference. Yeah, it was loud. It was loud. I can tell you, it was very loud.
Crazy.
What's the transition like from a junior coming into AFL life after you get drafted? Is there like a massive change in the way you live and everything like that, or is it pretty normal? It's just like another game.
No, it is. It's a big difference. It's because it's literally pretty much a full-time job. You're training 24/7. You're there from pre-season. You're there from 8 till 4, 7 till 4, like doing whether it's training, weights, whatever. Doing that 3-4 times a week, and then doing season comes, it's almost not as much, but you got games on the weekend, so you got to treat it as a full-time job. I learned that quickly. It's not just go kick a footy around. There's all behind-the-scenes stuff you got to do, whether it's massages, physio, jump in the water, look after your body, with nutrition, hydration, all that stuff. So I learned that pretty quickly about the AFL. But it does take a bit of time to get used to. Like, I know a lot of young kids struggle a bit early days, especially if they're coming into state. It's hard to transition, but the clubs have got a lot of people involved with the club to help them out, help the boys out, whether it's, welfare or people in the sports science to help them look after them. I think, compared to when I started what it is now, it's a big difference in how they look after them.
How did you find it back in your time, that transition?
Tough? Yeah, it was tough. Yeah, it was tough. Yeah, definitely. First year, I think, because you just want to play footy. you just want to kick the footy around. You never want to do the behind the scenes stuff. You know, like you've grown up just training twice a week, and you just go play on a weekend. I knew I wasn't the same. I knew there was.
Did you have anyone took you under the wing or not really?
No, Michael Jamison did. Jamo did definitely. Nice. I was a batsman there. He helped me out heaps. He was good. He was probably the main one. Jared Wade too. I know he was a different end of the ground, but he lived close by, so he was good to help out. Those two are probably the biggest ones. Yeah.
Just quickly, Matt, if we can go back a little bit. I know you said you played juniors. Was it Pascoe Vale you played?
Yeah.
Do you feel like it helped playing, obviously Andy and myself played a fair few years. We were at the Riddle District at Jacana, and then they sort of went into the Essendon District.
Yeah.
We didn't see much success, until we sort of moved over to Oak Park, which are rivals to Pascoe Vale. Being in successful clubs like your Pascoe Vales and those sorts, do you feel that you get more, opportunity to sort of mingle with the right people and sort of get those opportunities to sort of grow and develop? Because until we sort of went to Oak Park and played, a losing grand final, I think it was 2005, that's when it sort of opened up a little bit, and we sort of started seeing the likes of, there was Forksy in the side and a few others that sort of, went on to sort of the AFL. Does that help? Or did you see, other not so successful local footy clubs not doing so well?
Yeah, I think it definitely did help just having, obviously, good coaches too, starting from the junior age. I think it helped that I had probably every second year I had almost the same coach, so he kind of knew me, I knew him well. I was good mates with his son, so we kind of got on well, and he knew his footy. He was born and bred at Paco too, and we had a lot of good coaches come through, and they were, I didn't want to say they were looking after me, but they could have seen the potential where I could go, so they kind of helped me out heaps. But we had a couple of good teams in the juniors, and we are obviously doing any flags, but we were successful in terms of wins, and that definitely helped the development. You're playing good footy against teams, and then that's when the Calder Cannons or the under 18s start noticing.
Yeah, see, Andy, we should have jumped ship a long time ago and gone to Packer.
We were stuck at Jacana.
Yeah, my old man's at Team Essential at Jacana, so I know well.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
That pocket there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Who was your favourite team at the club at the time?
I was good. I was good mates with Kane, Lucas, Aaron Joseph, Chris Aaron. Those boys, they all lived in Pascoe Vale, so we kind of hung out outside of footy. But it's hard once footy finishes, everyone goes their separate ways. Like I still chat to Kane. Like I went to WA for 2 years, played footy over there, and he moved back to WA when he was at West Coast for 2 years, and we still catch up now and talk and see how we're going. But it's just hard, everyone goes, back home or interstate or other ventures. But if I see him on the street, like I bumped into East Scotland in January, and we just had a chat. And if I bumped into players, we'll have a chat. But in terms of just catching up, it's just a bit hard. And I'd love to see Chris Aaron again. I know he's had a bit of a tough time. He was a good kid. He was good. I like to see him again in Perth. I think he's going well at the moment. He's getting his life back on track, which is good.
That's good to hear.
I'd love to go over, and next time I go over to Perth, try and see him again.
How good was it watching Yaron run down in the middle of the ground, just 15,000 bounces?
It's like he's going slow motion.
Yes.
Literally. He'd always, even at training, he'd be running. He'd be turning his head, just looking at you like, you're going to catch up. You're going to catch me. I'm just going one pace. I'd be struggling, and he'd be just going half pace.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
He's got cracking highlights, really, he does.
Yeah. What was it like playing alongside someone like Chris Judd?
Definitely a lot of, nervousness, you could say, because you don't want to stuff up, do the wrong thing.
Chris Judd.
Yeah. But I think you learn a lot from him in terms of how to play the game, and especially behind the scenes stuff. All which you need to learn first couple of years about how to get your body right, all the things to get up for game day. But and I think towards the end of his career, once he let go of the captaincy, he kind of just he was still, professional professional, but he just let his guard down a bit. He was more freer, not as, could have a joke, a bit of a laugh. I think that's what you need in footy too. It's serious. On game day, but Monday to Friday, you got to kind of let your hair down a bit and have a bit of laugh at the footy club. And it's not 24/7 just footy. And I thought that's kind of, once you saw that, you're like, all right, I can kind of just relax a bit and just enjoy it a bit more.
Who was the best banterer at the club, or maybe a bit of a pest at training?
I'm going to say have to be those three: Eddie, Jimmy, Jeffy, and Yaz.
Three amigos.
Every time you stir one of them up, there's always two of them are always around somewhere. Just creep up in you and get into you too. That would probably the three that would, I would stir one up, or they'd be, in and under everyone, or just get under his skin. But at the same time, you give back to them, they'll take it as much too.
What was it like training? Because I'm assuming, like, you were a defender. How did you go training on them? Like, actually learning their craft as well as yours?
The forwards.
Yeah.
Well, it was good to, obviously when I was there, I'll be playing I was playing Jared Way, Jared Way, Levi Casbolt, like Andrew Walker was pretty much semi-tall, so playing him, and you kind of learn about, leading patterns, what to do, and then you got to kind of go, how am I going to, nullify this, what am I going to do? And then I was having Jamo down there to help out. He kind of, learned time of the ropes, this is what you got to do, and then you go watch vision and watching, behind the scenes stuff, and you learn a lot just by other people showing you what to do too, I think. And then obviously it helped when I went to the forward lines, end of my career there, obviously know, all right, how am I going to defend it? What do I need to do? All right, this is what what I don't want the defender to do. So kind of just beat them that way.
Yeah. When you were training on Levi Casbolt, would you ever just let him mark it because you knew he couldn't kick?
Nah, he's a strong.
Cool.
He had a bit of the hips there.
Anything goes on this
podcast. He's going all right now. He's starting to.
He's doing all right.
When he's up in Gold Coast.
I think he kicked one or two on us last time we played them last year.
You guys remember when he was on the wing and he kicked it backwards 60 metres and he missed the target and they scored? I can't remember who it was.
It happened a few times, that one.
The time where I think it was Cameron Wood and Levi bottled it in the forward line once.
Yes, I remember that.
But then he'd come out with 55 on the angle against Essendon and just absolutely roost it, right? So yeah,
I remember that one. That was huge.
Yeah. Well, you had a few big ones. How did you feel when the crowd got behind you with the wolf?
The wolf.
It didn't last. It didn't last long. It only happened my last year. Yeah, you could hear it. I probably kind of heard it, but then I kind of didn't use it to our advantage. I always wanted to just kick along to hear it. I would just pumping along. No, don't worry about everyone else. Just get it. I just hear everyone say it. I probably took a bit over the top, overboard.
Who did you enjoy playing under most of the coaches that we had?
Radden was good. I enjoyed Radden. I know I had him for early days, so it was a bit, still a bit raw and not knowing coaches what they're like. I personally still think he probably shouldn't have got sacked. Probably things, behind the scenes, poor management through players and player management, which kind of got him sacked. And obviously, they wanted to get Mick in. But I enjoyed Mick too. Like, I know when you see him game day, you think he's like that,
Angry.
Yeah, Monday to Friday. But you go to his office and just have a chat about life, about footy, about just anything, and he's pretty, open, and his door's always open. You want to have a chat to him, just go in, talk footy, where you're at with everything, where he can chat with where you're at with life. So I thought that side was good. And then obviously John Barker had last half a year before I finished up, and he same thing, have a chat to him, and he was like more of a player's coach. He was always one of those blokes who still, you could tell he still wanted to play, like he was still involved with the boys. But he, they all three had their differences.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because when Ratton was the coach at the time, we were playing finals, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I think we had a few bad games that year that he got sacked, and everything just turned on its head, and we brought in Malthouse and everything like that. What was the mood around the club at the time when the announcement came through that Ratton got sacked? Did you guys find out before the official announcement? What's the process like?
Yeah, no, we get told before. I think he had one more game left before he got sacked. He played the last game, and everyone got told like that. I think it might have been Wednesday or Thursday. I don't think we couldn't have made finals, so it was a bit of a dead rubber game. But we still wanted to kind of finish off the season strong for him because I know, obviously I was an Essendon supporter growing up, and you boys, know what he was like for the footy club, as a player and as a coach, and what he put towards the club. And I know that a lot of blokes there wanted to do well for him. Obviously, like I said, behind the scenes stuff didn't have the success where I thought we could have, close to winning flag those couple of years. We had a good team. But I remember the last game, he was getting interviewed on the ground before he went up to the race, and he got interviewed, and everyone kind of just gave him a standing ovation because they know what he means to the club and what he's done to the club as a player, as a coach. And I hope he stays involved with footy. I think he's still involved with footy now with his assistant, but at least getting back to the footy club because I know what the supporters, how much it means to them.
Absolutely. Now that the cute stuff's out of the way, do you think you were given a fair crack?
What
a question.
Sorry, man. No, but it's legit, yeah? He's a competitor.
Yeah.
I knew, I played, obviously, in and out of the game as a backman. I knew there was one game against Hawthorn where I played absolute terrible. I was getting, just rough head, and Spanger or Franklin were just getting a hold of me, and I'm like, I just thought to me, this could be like the end. Like, I just need a change or something, whether it's a change to the club or change position and something different, because I knew backline wasn't working or wasn't getting, what I wanted to do for the team. And I think the next week or the couple of weeks later, they put me in the forward line, and I was playing VFL on the forward, which I was happy to do because I wanted to learn that craft. And I played forward all in junior, so it was nothing new to me. And I started playing well in the VFL, kicking a couple of goals here and there, and I started getting emergency for the footy, for the team, for the AFL, and going interstate, come back and playing, and I ended up getting a game in the last game of the year against Essendon, where we drew. And then, kind of that last year was kind of make or break to, 2015 was this could be, ending here, or if I can kind of hold into position, which didn't happen. I felt like I was, 1 week in, 7 weeks out, so it was hard to get a bit of consistency.
Yeah.
Because I could tell, I played 70-odd games at VFL while I was there, and the gap between AFL and VFL in terms of the speed and the tempo and the skill level was just getting bigger and bigger. So you needed that, 4 or 5 weeks just to get used to the speed. And then, I know that they're going to say, no, you should know straight away, but it does take a bit of time just getting used to that level of footy. And obviously, I played this, once Malthouse left, I thought Barker gave me a bit of a chance. I played like the last 3 games of the year. Played okay, up and down, but I thought, might have just held on for another year, but obviously wasn't to be, and I was, moved on.
Yeah.
How does that conversation come about, right? So it's 2015. You're coming towards the end of the season. Yep. How does that conversation come about? What's sort of going through you emotionally at that time, right? Was there a feeling of, hey, this might be it, or and what happens from there?
Yeah, there was you did have a sense because there was not really anyone. They weren't really talking to manager about contract extensions or, next year, and so you kind of get a feeling, maybe not, and so that's why I was hoping like at the end of the, they might maybe have a couple of good games and they might, say into the year, we'll renew it for another year. But I probably knew because Brendan Bolton got signed up, would have been maybe 5-6 weeks before the season ended. They signed him, and everyone was kind of getting interviews with him all the new players just a meet and greet, and they were getting emails from the club, hey, this is when you try and meet him, and I wasn't getting, I didn't get any emails or nothing from the club about, everyone's talking about it. So I literally went to the CEO or the president. I said, look, I know players are getting interviews. I just let me have 10 minutes with the club with the new coach. Whether he likes me or not, it is what it is. At least I'll try and save my career. I've tried everything for the coach to stay there. But obviously the decision was already made. They already made the decision of who they want to keep and who they want to let go.
And how did that? Obviously, there would have been an exit conversation, right, with you at the time when you were leaving the club. What are some of the, I guess, the talking points in that conversation when it comes to an exit interview?
Talking points. We had, obviously everyone has an exit interview, and we just talked about what you did well during the year, what to either work on for next year, because they didn't give much away, because the exit meeting and then the listening meeting is completely different. So they weren't giving much away about, if you're staying or going. They did say they were just still. They did say there was a bit few. They were just up and ahhing about it, question marks about next year. So you kind of, walking on eggshells for a couple of weeks till you get the phone call. And then obviously I got the phone calls after best and fairest night on the Friday, so it was a bit hungover. And they told me to come in. come in. I think they kind of saved it because they didn't want everyone there, and then they brought everyone to. I think there was a couple of us. I individually brought us all in and told us. It wasn't long. There was only the general manager and full operation manager in the room. Wasn't coaches or anything. Just to, say service no longer wanted. Which was a bit frustrating. Bit sad, disappointed. Obviously didn't work out. I would love that, 10-year career, 10 plus years. Obviously didn't work out, but I just had when I walked out just a really weird feeling, everything locked out, and then I just had a big weight off my shoulder for some reason. This big weight off my shoulder just lifted, and
Yeah, right.
I did not picture it happening, or I just driving out of the club, just something hit me, and it just big weight off my shoulder. I don't think it was the pressure of trying to survive every day, try and do everything you can, and it just kind of hit me all at once.
Yeah. Crazy. Appreciate the insight, mate. That's massive.
I was just about to say that. I was dirty when they delisted you. I remember being so cut, right? Because I asked that question if you thought you had a fair crack, because from the outside, it looked like you weren't given a fair crack. And like you said, we saw the same thing you did. You're getting 1 or 2 games in and then missing a whole chunk. And it's like, from the outside, and you answered the question, how can a player possibly get used to the speed, the tempo, and all that in a week or two? Like, it doesn't. And we had the same issue the last 2 years with Paddy Dow, who was like killing it in the VFL. And do you still keep up with Carlton at the moment?
I do see how they're going.
Okay.
To be honest, it's been 10 years now, and I haven't really had a phone call from the club or from the welfare or from Spirit of Carlton, nothing about how you more about how you're going and functions or events or about demanding help with anything through the welfare bloke. Nothing in 10 years. I'm probably one of the lucky ones because I was still, mum and dad lived not far, so I was at home still. But if they're doing that to folks from interstate or come from interstate, they've got no one. All they've got is a footy club. It's a bit hard, but in terms of just a phone call and just once a year or just how you going.
Your blood, sweat, and tears for the club for 5 years, right? It's not just you sort of come in for a pre-season, you gave them your livelihood for 5 years. So if anyone from the club is watching, give Matty Watson a call. Come on.
It shouldn't matter if you've had 0 games, 100 games, 20 odd games. It's part of we're all part of the fabric of the club at some time in its in the club's history. And I pretty reckon if I walked in through the club now, I reckon there'd be like 80% would know who I am. To be honest.
Well, Georgie knew who you were. He gave us the call. He's like, I just straight away, Watson.
At the end of the day, it's more than just a job. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of life. I mean, these are the blokes that, you're talking to before bed, after bed, you get up, you breakfast together, beach together, all that sort of stuff, training, rehab. So it's more than just a job. So, you go to a job now for a year and, you end up going your own way, and they pushed all this employee assistance programs and welfare checks and all that sort of stuff. So it's really disappointing to hear that.
Yeah, they're kind of putting responsibility. You're an 18-year-old, just finished school, and you're going pretty much in a full-time job, and you've got to kind of learn quickly. To be honest, you got to learn quickly. You're not doing any uni work. You've got 4 years to do uni before you go into the real world. You got straight into. I literally had like 10 days. I was straight into. After your last exam, straight into pre-season, and you've got to pick it up. You've got to pick it up quickly. So they are kind of, putting, especially with families, you've got to, they're kind of not babysitting, but looking after you as an 18-year-old still. So they've got to big responsibility to make sure they grow up in the right way, teach them the right things. And I know it's hard it took when I finished up, it was like, what do I do now? There was a time where you're like, after you're done, like, where do I go from here? Yeah. And then if the club's not going to help you, it's like, well, it's hard to get out, leave you on your own.
Matty, do you feel like all the clubs were the same? If you spoke to the likes of other players that were delisted, is it a Carlton thing? Is it a culture thing, or is it across the board?
Well, I spoke to when I bumped into Heath. He said it was the same thing. Like he knows that that side of the footy club's not great. Well, I know, like, when Melbourne went their flag, they had that big group chat with all the past players. So, when they were winning their flag, they had that big group chat, all the past players coming through. You always see, I think, Richmond, Koch and all, they had their retirement, all these past players on the ground, whether they're mates or they play with them, they're all, they're still supporting them or, looking after them. I really haven't spoken to anyone, to be honest, from other clubs. Yeah. I would hope that they're better. Because you'd hope so, because you can't, like you said, when you're 18, everyone says, you get chewed up and spat out of the system, and they're like, no, that's not true, that can't happen. And then, lo and behold, it happens to you.
Yeah.
Crazy. I can't believe that. You'd think, like, a competition that, it's over 100 years old, they've dealt with past players in the past, and you think Carlton, being as big as it is, will have a really good past players program at least, or something.
Yeah, well, they do have that spirit of Carlton.
Yeah. I mean, there's no point of just having it, though, if you're not actually...
Yeah, like inviting us to stuff. I know a lot of the past players, through the 80s and 90s still get involved with that, because we used to do as a club a function once a year with them when I was playing. And yeah, I bumped out Alex Marcoux too, and he said the same. He was surprised too, because I told him that I haven't spoken to the club in 8-9 years, and he was surprised too, because he thought they were on top of it. So whether they need someone to do it at the full club to do it full time, just be on the phones every day, just chat to past players. I don't know if that's something they need to do, but it's just something. Yeah, I think they just need that's something. If you want to, I've always said, if you want to have success, you've got to look after the history of the club.
100%.
And you look at, I remember the game against the Bombers. What was it a couple of years ago? I think where they got, was it last year or a couple of years ago where Hurd came out, Matty Lloyd came out, and stuff like that. As a fan, right? Obviously, I didn't like seeing Essendon past players, but as a fan, it's actually nice to be able to see the history of the club, and then there was that huddle with the past and the present, right? So it's a strong moment and connection, right? And even if it's just inviting, and doing a bit of a function or something at Icon Park or whatnot, I think it doesn't have to be necessarily on game day, but I think that's important for the fans, and especially, Matty, you would have seen, and you'd know how passionate Carlton fans are, right? Carlton fans are it's life and death. So seeing that, I guess, it just sort of galvanizes the fan base, and for yourselves as well. Like it's actually, I think, a strong moment catching up with past peers and coaches and alumni and stuff. So
because I think like I say, we don't really. Everyone goes their separate ways after footy. You don't see them too much, and the only connection you've got is the footy club. That's the only thing that kind of, where your friends at, where you've got a kind of a similar interest. You both played at Carlton or at a footy club, and where they invite you back just for a training session to watch, or tour the new club rooms or something like that. It shows the players, whether like I said, where you played 0, 20, 100, that they still care about you, or they still care about the history. Like I've learned that. I probably learned that in my when I'm getting older. That speaking to past players or learning about the history of the footy club, whether you're at, it's big, it's massive, because then it kind of drives you to play better footy, or you know who you're playing for.
Absolutely.
Wow. Do you follow the footy much? Do you go to any games or staying away from it?
I go when I can, when I'm not playing. I try to.
Any games? Any teams?
No, I'm not too worried. I just go if there's a ticket available, I'll go down. Yeah. I'm usually got my own footy, and I'm usually too sore and tired to get to a game. But I still watch on TV, and I've got a few mates that work at Carlton in Melbourne, so we went to Carlton Melbourne last year, middle of the year, and so I kind of organise a few things. But in terms of just going every week or doing it, it's just too hard, and so I just watch on TV usually.
Yeah. Are there any sort of particular players you love watching at the moment?
I think I'm surprised. Tom Walker's probably the same build as me. I'm surprised. It's good that he's still going around and still doing for the big fellas. Doesn't have to run far, which is good. Just sits in the square, which is nice.
Just bullies people.
Yeah. But who's trying? I think he's been going well this year. Obviously, you got the two forwards at Carlton are going well and giving a presence, which is good. While giving a presence.
Shut up, Moose.
Exactly.
Moose has a thing with Harry Mackay. It's all right.
It's not a thing.
Just think
Not a thing. It's legit.
I'm trying. Yeah, I think a lot of young fellas too coming out through are just kind of thriving from day one. They're I think social media's got a lot to do with that. They've got to able to watch their players. They get a lot more exposure because they're on the Instagram or the TikToks, or they've got videos of them when they're 17, 18, so they get more exposure. And then those better players, you see them more, and I think that kind of helps them transition a bit better and play from literally round one. You see a lot of 18, 19-year-olds play round one and then dominate. Like heaps last year, North Melbourne, West Coast, Jimmy played well all year, played consistently all year. Most blokes break down. Most young fellas, they break down halfway through the year just because it's the demand. But these blokes are playing 20-odd games and no worries, they're getting it done.
If you could give yourself and any other 17-year-old going into the AFL system any bit of advice, what would you give them? What would you tell them?
I'll just say, enjoy it. Just enjoy the experience. Don't get caught up with the, obviously you're going to be in awe because you've watched these players going up, but sometimes it can hinder your performance. Just go in like you played in your junior footy. Go in there playing like what got you into the system. That go play to your strengths, because that's what the club brought you in for, because your strengths, not your weaknesses. So if you can do that at a young age, you just play more free-flowing footy and you're going to enjoy it more. I think that's probably the biggest thing for a young fella.
Yeah. It's
that's rough, man. Imagine coming into the system as an 18, 19-year-old, right? You've dedicated your life to footy, and then in the space of 4 or 5 years, things just haven't fallen your way, and then bang, it's just a clean cut by the sound of it, Matthew. Would you say that's exactly what it was?
Yeah, pretty much a clean cut. Yeah, you could say that. It was just pretty much, you were with the club one day and then next day you're jobless. You could say you got no job.
I guess that's why you as you say, enjoy every moment, the ride. You're putting in. I like you mentioned as well, right? There's a lot of things that we don't see, all the behind the scenes stuff, the day in, the day out. So we see a couple of photos and videos of a few training sessions and then game day, but there's so much more that goes into the back end of that. So, and to be in the system, as you said, like, one of the lucky ones that, you from, your upbringing to the draft to coming into the footy club, as you said, there's one in, statistically, I think it's like making it into the AFL. So, well done regardless, mate. So
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
It should be commended regardless. Yeah.
What was the transition like coming out of footy back into, regular life?
Yeah, the first couple of weeks are a bit like, what's next? Speaking of manager, which I haven't spoken to also in 10 years. He hasn't called. But luckily enough, I was still 23, so I was still young, and I had a couple of offers to go play in the Adelaide or WA. So I ended up going to play at East Ferrer for 2 years, which Rob Wiley was coaching. So I ended up spending 2 years in Ferrer there, which was a good experience. At 23, I was still young, so I was still young. I was just wanted to get out of Melbourne for a couple of years, enjoy it, have a bit of fun over there, play footy, good footy, because I reckon it's pretty good footy over those Sandford and Waffle leagues. So I kind of did a bit of real estate there, something that I'm interested in after footy. I kind of did that in my last year's season. I could see the writing on the wall, so I started thinking about what I want to do after, and it kind of piqued my interest. So I did that, and then did that 18 months in Perth, and spent 2 years in Perth, and come back to Melbourne, and then now I'm doing commercial construction.
Nice.
As a cabinet maker, so I've been doing that for probably 6 years now.
Beautiful.
So finished, yeah. So that's something I'm enjoying doing. It's back on the tools, which I don't mind. I got into when I finished school. So it's like I said, still playing footy. So it keeps the days going, And I've had have a mum and dad too. Mum's been big on me, first buying a house. I was able to get that through footy, which is very lucky. And then she's always big on me. At least having some degree or some certificate behind me, which is able to do. I got there at 30. I got there.
It's not right.
First aid certificate.
Yeah. So having those mum and dad help me has been huge in terms of help me transition out of footy too, especially not just being just going through the motions.
Good.
Love it.
Love you, Mum.
Your sister, she's a handy netballer, isn't she?
Yeah, she's playing she just moved up to Sunshine Coast, playing up at the Lightning now. She's been at Vixens the last 10 years.
Yeah.
A couple of flags there, and Captain Australia. So she's done a couple of the Com Games and World Cups around the world. And she's enjoying it up north now. She's a bit of a change for her and a bit more relaxed lifestyle for her. But
that's awesome.
She's enjoying the netball too. She'll be 30 this year, so she's got a couple of years left. So she's going to make the most of it up there, and hope they've got a good team this year, so they can win a flag before she retires.
She'll retire a legend in the sport for Australia, sure.
Yeah, she should. She would. What she's done is, as a captain, winning Com Games last year, and then World Cup and Quad Series and New Zealand tournaments. So they've actually had a pretty successful 12, 18 months with the team, so she's just leading the way, and she's still enjoying it. She's loving it. Yeah.
Were mum and dad heavy athletes?
They just play local. Like dad played at Jacana and Parkside. Mum was just local netball. I was more uncles that were through the footy, and they're Steve was at Essendon, and Uncle Ant was at Coburg for 10 or so years. So that's where the kind of football kind of pedigree come from. And that's kind of why I wanted to do it. And they were good. Through me 17, 18-year-old when I was about to get drafted, especially Steve showed me the ropes, what to do, what to expect, and coming to games at quarter or under 18 champs, tell me what to do right, what to do, work on. So having him and both uncles actually helping me in that sense definitely gave me a good kind of stepping stone and good head start coming to the system.
Yeah, good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Oh, been a good chat.
Yeah,
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Who's winning the flag and how much is Carlton winning by?
Who do you want him to play? Who do you reckon? Do you want to Carlton Collingwood?
Good man.
Carlton Collingwood?
I want it. I want it, and I want to smash them by 4,000.
They would have to put temporary seating on the roof to fit them in. At least 120. 120
Easy.
Yeah.
Was there extra nerves when Carlton was playing Collingwood?
Yeah, a bit more spice to it, definitely. Especially that period when I was playing, both of us were going well through 2011, 2012. Mm-hmm. Both teams were kind of up, were doing well. Like I know we lost the semi in 2011, but yeah, because of that first game, you couldn't when Collingwood were up and about, and we were 2-0, and it was just both 2-0, and it was just a big crowd, 89,000. You couldn't really hear too much. You couldn't hear your teammates within 5-10 minutes of each other.
That's crazy.
But once you kind of play, you don't really, notice it or you don't hear it.
Zone out. Yeah.
You can hear it behind the scenes, but it kind of doesn't. It doesn't. Who could say take away from what you need to do in the game. Obviously, it's a good experience and nerves, all that stuff. But you kind of just there to play footy. It's just kind of a added bonus having a big crowd watching you play.
That's crazy. Yeah. Imagine that. 90,000 people. Jeez.
Another question, and we're going back to 2013, right? Eddie Betts is a huge part of the Carlton Footy Club, right? Played the majority of his career there, and then in 2013 he got let go. What was the feeling around the club when Betts was let go? Because it wasn't just Betts. I think Garlett was it around that time as well, 2014.
Anybody who kicked the goal.
Yeah,
if you kicked the goal, you were traded.
And then Yaron the year after.
Yeah.
Was there any sort of I'm not exactly sure what the word is, but like was there any sort of questions being asked around the playing group? Like, what the hell is happening? Why are we letting go of these kind of players? Because I was saying that 100%. Yeah. I was like, what are we doing?
I think I'm not sure if it was money or why he left. I'm not sure if it was the coach had to do with it or wanted a bit of a change because he's from Adelaide too, so he wanted a couple of years in Adelaide. There's all different factors. Obviously, he's Carlton for life. Carlton flew him through because he obviously come back, finished his career up there. I think you can't obviously you kind of can't let players if they want to move, they want to move. You can't really say no. If they've got a big opportunity, they want to change. You can't force them against their will to stay. I know a lot of people would have tried for Eddie Betts especially, but obviously it's just part of the system, especially with free agency now, you can do whatever you want. If you're in that free agency year, you can go wherever you want. The club can't do nothing. They can't.
Yeah. So externally, I think around that time when the contract talks were up and about with Eddie Betts, it was, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, gents, it was like over $50,000 apparently for Eddie Betts.
There's been a few rumours, and then
or something like that,
Dale
right?
Thomas at the same time, I think it was, coming into the club.
Yeah.
So are you saying that it was more Eddie Betts' decision to move across to Adelaide rather than, say, a Mick Malthouse going, we don't want you anymore?
I don't think Mick would. I reckon Mick would have wanted him. I don't think going by, I gone the line, reading the line. I don't think Eddie wanted to have Mick as coach. To be honest, I think he just wanted that. I don't know if there's anything. I didn't get involved with behind the scenes or what's going on, but Matt, that's probably the only reason he might have, because he was. I don't know, he had a bit of a form slump that year. Maybe just had things in his mind, or what the coaches tell him to do is completely away from what he's capable of doing, what his strengths are. But I think part of it too was, all right, I got an opportunity to go to Adelaide. It's a fresh start. That's my home. Spent a couple of years there. Then maybe stay there, move back to Melbourne. I think that's the biggest. I think that was the biggest factor in moving over to Adelaide. Just family and some of that. Coach maybe a little bit, but more just moving home.
Yeah, right. Fair enough.
Who was the best player you played with?
See, Judd.
Judd, yeah. Obviously, if you take out Judd.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was about to say excluding Judd.
In terms of playing, what he can do for his body frame, for his body was probably Cade Simpson.
Yeah, right.
For what he's lightly built, but he's able to put his body on the line. And I remember that time he got knocked out by Bellingham. I was like standing right there, and he was just out. But he was out there. I think the third quarter happened, and then the last quarter he's on the bench, just still getting us, geeing us up and giving us positive feedback or positive feedback for the game because he wanted us to win, and that's how much he loved the club, and he wanted the club to win, and he was successful. So in terms of putting the body on the line, all that stuff, unbelievable. Andrew Walker too, trainer,
what a gun.
For his size, and he could just run all day, and his strength, he's just someone, he was just something different. Then obviously he had the skills like Jeffy, Eddie, Chris, like what they could do with the footy is, is something it's hard to, you can't do it. It's just all instinct. And then Cripple was coming through. He was a couple of his young years. You could tell he had a bit of a potential.
That was going to be my next question. Mm-hmm. Did you, when you first saw Cripper head into the club, could you envision that this little he's not little, but like this chubby guy, he was quite chubby when he came in. Yeah. Like, could you envision that he would have the impact on the football club that he has?
Not early days, no. Not early days. He played a lot of VFL footy. He had a lot of he broke his, I think he busted his shin once or cracked his shin, so he was out for a bit of period. But I reckon it might have been the last year we played Melbourne at the G, like end of the year, and I reckon that was a game where he kind of stood out, or what I can remember where he stood out and dominated, or you could say, all right, this bloke he's got something. And obviously, he changed, he put the effort in to change his body and get his body to AFL standard, and obviously he's reaping the reward now, and obviously he's been successful, and obviously the last thing he needs to do is win a flag.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. This year, easy. We're going this year.
Hey, Matthew, it's been an absolute pleasure. We can't thank you enough for coming on and having a chat with us and just shedding some light on how your years went in the AFL system. It's truly a shame to hear that it was a clean cut. Like you said, right? Every single player that comes through the Carlton Football Club is a part of the fabric, no matter what. So, Carlton Football Club, give them a call.
We're going to do a life-size Matthew Watson and take it down the Legends Lounge and pin it up on the
wall. Remember this bloke?
Thank you so much for
appreciate you, mate.
All good, appreciate it. No worries.
Thanks, mate.
Easy.
Thanks, mate.
Excellent.
All the best.
Well.